Well, good evening, everybody. Flying Crow again. It has been a long time since I did a layout update, and I just wanted to let everybody know how it was going. So I'm just going to show you what I have done so far since my last update. One of the things I've done, of course, is I've got my yard all in, which was the biggest project especially because of the ballasting and the painting of the track and things like that. So as you can see, the yard goes down there. I've got room, probably including the two piggyback tracks that are right there, for about 100 cars, and that's excluding the tail track and the main line, of course. So here I've got a little facility. You can see my water tower is set up along with a little pump house, and my building that I've shown you in other videos. I've got it placed. See, I've got a couple engines parked there. Right now there's stuff like like those little trucks are just there for no reason. So just because I had them sitting out. And I've got some of my cars out. One of the things I've done is I have put all my cars into JMRI, and some of my engines. So that's all done. That was a big chore because I've got almost 300. So right now the count's at about 262, I think it is. And then I've got a box full of stuff that hasn't been assembled. You know, AccuRail kits and those branch line blueprint series kits that need to be assembled. I've got those upstairs, and they're just waiting. Then I've got about 15 cars that I have to renumber. Of course, if you're putting things in JMRI, if you've got the same cars, you've got to renumber what you have. So the duplicates, and I've got about 15 duplicates that I have to renumber. So that's what's been going on there. If you can see over here, I got a new F unit. I'll just move him over there. So the new, it's not new, it's new to me, but it is a Proto 2000 KCS F unit. If I can get the camera adjusted. And just got that off of eBay. It was a buy it now thing, so I got it for a good price. I didn't have to snipe to get it, which I don't like doing. As you can see, also as far as the scenery, I've got some static grass laid. I was experimenting with my static grass machine, so it came out pretty well. I like it, and I see I've got a little bit around the pads of the water tower, things like that. So, and a little path worn to the pump house. See my two tracks there, I've just got ballast piled up. And if anybody wonders, this little pile of dirt here, I actually just was, as I was spreading the ballast, I ended up spreading some of it in a pile. So that's what happened. I just glued the pile there just to make it look like a dirt pile, which who knows why it's there. Somebody put a dirt pile there, so at least there's still enough room to offload the trailers off the piggyback tracks and have the trucks pull them out. So that's good enough. And you can see I put a few little things in front of my building there, a couple oil barrels and some scrap wood that I was using. And what happened, the scrap wood actually came off of a bridge I've been building, or two bridges really. So outside of Minden yard, just as you leave the yard and before you cross US Highway 80, these there's a kind of a drainage ditch. It's not really a creek or a river or anything. I guess you might could call it a creek, but it's more of a drainage ditch than anything. And there's two very short trestles, or there were back in 1976. These are a little close together for prototype, but you know how you have to make room on a scale model railroad for things like that. So these two bridges I've made, I haven't quite got them finished yet. I'm waiting on some scale lumber because along the edge here there are some walkways, and I've got to use that scale lumber to make the walkways. But so I hope you like my weathering on my bridge there. I've got to go over it a little bit because if you can see, I did spill some glue. So when I was gluing the rails down, so I've got to go and flatten that up just a little bit. But the weathering was done with, I found something. I'm taking a little more time weathering on this new layout because I want it to look exactly right. And what I have decided to go with are acrylic inks, and I get those acrylic inks at Hobby Lobby. You can probably get them at Michael's too. So there's some right there, and here's the inks I use. Now to get this weathering, what I do is I start with white, so I paint everything, and I've kind of used combined techniques of several I've seen on YouTube. So what I did is I painted everything just white to begin with, and then I went over it with I've got one here. This is burnt umber, so I use burnt umber, and I use gray blue, and then a little bit of black for some highlights if I need to. But and then of course if I need to lighten it back up, I'll mix some white in, and I just mix these up as I'm painting them. I dip my brush in the burnt umber and I dip it in the gray blue. I don't even put it out on a separate tray or anything like that. I just dip my brush in both of them and start brushing it on. As you can see, the weathering effect came out pretty nicely. So you might think that blue-gray is kind of opposite of what you would want to weather with, but it actually dulls down the burnt umber really nicely. Now, I'm not talking about lightening it, I'm talking about dulling it. So colors on the opposite sides of the spectrum tend to dull each other. Same with red and green. You wouldn't normally mix red and green, you'd think, but it makes a nice dull brown color. So you got a grayish brown color. So that's what I do with, and then like I said, use the white to lighten it up or the black to darken it. The black that I have here is actually India ink. It's not one of the acrylic inks. So I just use that as a highlighting, kind of wipe it on if I need to with a cloth. So but what I do when I dip my paintbrush in either the acrylic inks, I will kind of brush most of it out, and this is almost done with a dry brushing effect. You don't want to get the paint too thick because you'll hide the detail, or the ink too thick. So and you definitely want to bring out the wood grain. So best way to do that, like I said, paint it white first and then use the blue-gray and the burnt umber and mix them. You could probably get a couple other colors if you wanted to. I was happy with the way this came out. You might find yellow ochre and just some other things, even some reds. Just mix it in and experiment. That's all I did here. I just experimented with my paintbrush, and I've been using it on my ties as well. So I did that, of course, the bridge in the front and the back for both lines that cross over. So, and of course the big thing was ballasting and scenicking. I have some more static grass here, and in that ditch down there where the two small trestles are going to go a lot of weeds and trees that grow up out of that ditch. Very little water will go up in it. So I've got my elevated tank here. This is a Rick's product elevated tank, and it's a nice tank. It built really easily. So I'm going to, but I'm not going to use it here. That's just a little bit big for what I need it to be. So I'll use it somewhere else on the layout at some point. I've got to have a smaller tank. The actual tank was even a lot smaller than I've built all the way around. I've got my shelf work up over to the door. So that will be the first level, and then of course I've got to build either my lift out or my lift up. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that in front of the door. So however I do it, that'll be my next big project. So as you can see, my track does go all the way around. I haven't finished ballasting or painting track. It's kind of a mess up here. Of course, when you're scenicking and laying track, you do get a mess. But coming out of the yard, I'm going to have two industries here. Over there's going to be a lime company, and right here I'm going to build an extension out just about right here to put in a company called Dresser Magabar, if anybody's familiar with them. There's a lot of cars made for them. Atlas has made a lot, so and Athearn as well. So I'm going to put Dresser Magabar here, the lime company over there, and that'll be my two industries over here. And as I think I said before, what I plan on doing is, even though this layout is going to be a triple level, I am going to make the top level to where it will go around in a full circle if I need it to. So if I just wanted to one day just come out here and run a train, then I can just do that in a full circle without having to. You know, if I'm busy doing something else, I might just want a train to run around. So, but I will, like I said, I am putting my cars in JMRI and my engines, so I will be using that as a manifest program. So that's, I think that'll be good for operations. I do like the operations aspect of things, so that's what I'm going. That's what I'm going with, is JMRI. So. That's just kind of a little update on what's been going on. Like I said, the longest thing was ballasting this entire yard. And as you can see, because the yard's about, it's a good 14 feet long to here, to this little inset. And then, you know, another 3 or 4 feet. So, and then of course it's 19 feet and 6 inches all the way down to the corner. So the ballasting was done with a combination of ballast and grout. I enjoyed using the grout because it looks pretty realistic. I found that you can't use the grout on these large areas. You can't use the grout alone, so you have to put in. You have to put something in it to help it bond. And what I did is I just mixed it in with about 25% ballast to 75% grout, and it came out and made it pretty good. So all I had to do, as you can see, it's pretty much glued down. All I had to do was wet it with water. So I used water after I spread it, and that's all I needed to do. So it came out, I think it came out really well. Anyway, that's it for the update. This week I am going to film the dead rail install, so I can show you how that's going. I have all my equipment to do the dead rail install, and I will make another video this week showing everybody how to do a dead rail install in HO scale. So I don't think there's too many other YouTube videos out there on that subject, so I hope you will enjoy that. Be looking for that video. And I am announcing that I have got a contest I'm going to start. So right now I've got about 172 subscribers, 171, 172, I can't remember. So I will be giving away two cars that are new. And I don't think I have them, but with my next video I'll make sure that I show you what I'm going to be giving away. The contest is going to be when I make it to 225 subscribers. So that's only 50 something subscribers away. So when I make it to 225 subscribers, I will be giving away those 2 cars, and I think they're those Fox Valley, if I'm not mistaken. Like I say, I do not have them with me, so I will show them in the next video, but they're Southern Railroad coal gondolas. So they're those deep-sided aluminum, I think they were aluminum or steel that Southern had, and I'm sure that'll look good, especially if you're doing coal on your layout. You will probably enjoy having those and getting in on the contest. Sorry, it's HO scale. I don't have anything for the N scale guys. I apologize. I just don't get N scale stuff. So I hope maybe I'll do one in the future, you know, maybe with some scenicking material or something like that. So if you have any questions, let me know. Any comments, please feel free, like and subscribe to win the 2 coal gondolas. You have to be a subscriber, and I will be putting a couple questions up, and you can email me the answers when I put the questions up. So I'll do all that in the next video when I talk about the dead rail install. So have a good evening, and hope you enjoyed this update.